What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. On this one, I'm gonna continue working on the Veloster. I'm gonna try and get all the wiring done inside of the vehicle in this video, get all the interior put back in it except for the dash, and then possibly jack the car up, bolt the transmission in, and start taking measurements for the shifter and the drive shaft. Hopefully I can go get the drive shaft modified. I'll be able to get the shifter brackets made that I need to have made, and then hopefully be able to get the radiator and get the cooling system working on this thing, and then I can finish hooking up the fuel lines up to the engine and hopefully get this thing started soon. I don't want to be too optimistic, but I'm pretty freaking close. So once I get all the wiring squared away and get the drive shaft and the shifter fixed, then it's just exhaust and coolant, and it should fire right over. So we'll see what happens. Now, I do have something new that is slowing me down a little bit from working on the cars, and that is I got a new puppy. This is Coco. She's only 9 or 10 weeks old, and she's been taking up a lot of my time here the last week and a half. So trying to train her and make sure that she's not going to be a complete nuisance, since all my other dogs died in a tragic accident when a tree fell on their doghouse a couple years ago. I haven't had a dog since, so I picked her up and saved her from going to the pound. But yeah, that's kind of slowing me down a little bit because I've been working with her and trying to make sure she's going to be a good dog when she gets older. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to get to it. All right, guys, so now that I've got everything, I've got all my wiring figured out, and I've got my 2 connectors here that I'm going to bridge together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start cutting these one wire at a time and bridging these wires into them. Got my soldering iron, butane, electrical tape, heat shrink, and solder. So solder these wires one at a time, get this bundle completely done, and then once I get this bundle done, I'll pick back up. All right, everybody, so I have successfully tapped in all of my wires that I know for certain what they are. The other wires I still have to figure out as far as the mirror directions, because there's 2 wires that supply power and signal to the mirror. I'm guessing one of them is to send signal to the passenger side mirror, and these other wires have to go to a single motor in the mirror. There's only 3 wires to control it going in every direction. So I got to figure out what does up, down, and side to side and all that stuff. So I can't really hook this up until I get power on the car. And I don't want to short circuit anything. So I'm taking a break from doing the wiring now. And I'm actually focusing on trying to figure out where the shifter, or how I need to modify the shifter to get this thing working. So I moved the car and I've got it up in the air. I finally moved it out of where it's been sitting for the last 2 years. And I've been working on trying to figure out what I need to do with the shifter. And based off my measurements, I need to shorten the shifter by 2 1/4 inches. Now, this rod right here will be pretty easy to shorten because it's just welded right here. So I should be able to just cut that weld, cut 2 1/4 out of here, scoot it forward, and weld it back together. The issue comes with this bracket, because this is a cast bracket, and I need to take 2 1/4 inches out of this without messing with the geometry of it. So what I may wind up having to do is I may have to wind up making an entire arm out of just regular aluminum and machine it so that I can make it work. I'll have to manufacture this exact same part, just 2 1/4 inches shorter. And I'll have to mill out this pocket and get the bearing race in there and all that. I honestly don't know how I'm going to go about shortening the shifter, but that's what I need to do. I need to shorten it by 2 1/4 inches. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go get my drive shaft, which is sitting right back there, and we'll bring it up here and get the measurements off the drive shaft. And then I should be able to get Terry to take it up to the drive shaft company by his work and get it modified while he's at work, and then be able to throw that in. And I'm going to start looking at getting the fuel lines, because I got to pull the fuel lines further back. They're run all the way up to here, and they're hooked up all the way up to here, but they're not hooked up to the engine because they're sitting 2 inches too far forward. So I got to tuck them back to the firewall and get them running where they belong. But yeah, I need a break from the wiring. It's kind of killing my brain. So I need to figure that out. Plus, I just discovered this morning that since I've got the gas tank from the Genesis in here, the filler neck sits out too far and my gas door won't shut. So I'm probably gonna have to build a little spacer block to go behind this to get it to suck away from the quarter panel so that I can get it to drop back about a 1/2 inch. But those are minor details. So yeah, I'm gonna be getting this drive shaft and figuring out my measurements for it. And then I need to get this exhaust up here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm more than likely just gonna disconnect it right here, and I'll hang the exhaust, and then I'll figure out what I need to do with the rear. I may even chop it off here and then run it through the Veloster exhaust so that I can have it coming out the center of the bumper. I may even go try and find a turbo exhaust because it'll be a bigger diameter and I'll have to change to the turbo rear bumper. But I think it might look better if I do the turbo. I still want to try and make it look like a nav because I don't want people thinking I want people thinking this thing's slow as shit when they see it until I dump it on them. So I'd like to keep it with the original naturally aspirated Veloster exhaust, but we'll see how that goes. So that's the next thing I'm going to do, get the drive shaft measurements, and then I'm going to disassemble the exhaust and get it hanging in there and see what I need to do as far as modifying it and just keep going from there. I'll probably start working on doing the battery relocation to put the battery in the trunk because there's no room in the engine compartment for the battery. But that way I can test circuits when I'm working on the car and I'll be able to figure out what I need to figure out to finish my wiring. So I've been working on trying to figure out the wiring for the headlights and the front radiator and all that. And I'm getting ready to go, more than likely I'm getting ready to go purchase the radiator that I need for this to get it to work so that I can get all this buttoned up. But I've been working on this wiring, trying to figure out what connectors go where, because I sold the front end and I shouldn't have, because I need to know where these connectors go to. I don't know what they go to anymore. I've had this car apart for 2 years, so I can't really remember, and I didn't video it, what was connected to those two connectors. So anyway, still trying to figure out some of this other stuff. I'll get it all figured out, but once I get that figured out, then I'm gonna get the radiator in there, get a cooling fan working, figure out my AC lines, and probably gonna reroute this power steering cooler or change how it is. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but I am gonna do something to make it a little bit different because it's the lowest part on the front end of the car. But I'm getting there. Slow and steady, but I'm getting there. And it's no longer back where I had it. So it rolled really good, rolled straight, easy. So I'm gonna hopefully start getting the exhaust test fit, because I can do that while I'm still trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with the shifter. I still haven't been able to figure out how I'm gonna be able to make that shifter shorter. The drive shaft, I'll be able to take it up in a couple days and get it dropped off to get it shortened. So we'll see where it goes. All right, guys, so I just shortened the exhaust, took off the rear piece, and comparing it to the length of the original Veloster exhaust, because the separation, where the exhaust separated from the manifold on the Veloster is about the same position as where the ones for the Genesis disconnect. So it looks like I might try and splice this Borla exhaust that I got that was original for the nav into this pipe. Just cut it right here and then cut the Borla right there and weld it in, or move that flange up and weld a flange on here. Like cut that one off or that one, whatever. I can use whatever flange I need to. But make that to where it bolts together and then have it coming out the original exit. And I've got the original tips that bolt into the bumper here. So yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. So now that I've got the exhaust shortened somewhat, I'm gonna slide it underneath the car, try and get the hangers hooked up and just see where this thing lays, and then I'll be able to decide what I'm gonna do with the back part of the exhaust. All right, guys, so I got the exhaust on here. I'm trying to hold this still the best I can. So I got the exhaust in here, but you can see the hangers are too far back. And then the hanger in the back is too far back. I'll get closer here in a second. So what it looks like I have to do is it looks like I have to zoom out so that you can see what the heck I'm doing. So it looks like what I'm gonna have to do is cut these flex pipes are damaged anyway on both of them. So that one and that one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wind up cutting the pipe right here at the flex joint and cut it on the other side. And then I'll shorten the pipe the inch or two that I need to get the original hangers to line up. So I'm gonna get that hanger and then that hanger down there, which you can see it now. So, yeah, so you can see it's off. It doesn't want to line up because it's too far back. So if I cut 2 inches out of the exhaust, roughly 2 1/4 inches, then everything should line back up originally. And I got to replace the flex joints anyway, so I'm just going to replace them, and I'll shorten it when I do that. So I think I've decided I'm not going to use this Borla exhaust because of the way that the pipes are laid out and the way that it runs, the way that the pipe runs out of the back of the Veloster now. So if I hold this exhaust up where it belongs, so that exhaust is going to sit right there. You can see it right there. And that is really close to the bumper. So what I may wind up having to do is run a pipe, like cut this back here and run a 90-degree into a muffler and then run it back over to get it to come out of these 2 ports. Because I'd like to have it come out of these 2 ports, and I would like to add a muffler because this thing is loud. I may leave it without a muffler. I know I'm going to start it when I first start it without a muffler, but I may wind up putting a muffler on it. And if I do, then that's how I'm going to do it. If I don't, then I'll just cut the pipe right about here, and I'll get a Y pipe and get it to split into 2 tips and have the 2 tips come out through here and through here. So I'd like to know what you guys think as far as how the exhaust, or how I'm laying out the exhaust, what your thoughts are on it. Should I keep it with the exhaust coming out the center like that, or should I change to a turbo rear bumper and do the bigger exhaust, or the round tips instead of this rectangle tips? And do you think I should do a muffler, or you think I should just keep it straight pipe? If you need to know how loud it was when it was running in the Genesis, just watch the Genesis video when I first started this project. It's like 2 years ago. I've got a clip of it running, and this thing is obnoxiously loud. So I'm still debating on putting a muffler on this thing. So I'd like your guys' input on some of this stuff. Just group consensus, or what's your guys' opinion? Because I'm just kind of doing this. I mean, ultimately it's going to be whatever I want, but I would like some opinions on some things. I'm gonna continue working on this thing. I've got both of the door wiring as far as I can go without either having wiring diagrams for the power mirrors, or putting power onto the car so that I can test the circuits. So, and then as far as the rear wiring goes, I still have to run the wires to the rear door, and I still have to run the wiring for the rear hatch and the brake lights and stuff. So I'm going to work on that while I'm trying to design the new shifter linkage, because I'm going to have to make a custom shifter for the stabilizer bracket. The shifter arm, I should be able to just chop it off and weld it 2 1/4 inches shorter. But the actual shifter brace reinforcement, whatever you want to call it, that mounts to the floor and mounts to the shifter, that is going to either have to be custom made, or I'm going to have to make some kind of a junction block where I can cut it apart and bolt it together, which I really don't want to do. I'd rather keep it as one piece. So I'm going to have to design whatever I'm doing with that. And then I'm going to go get the drive shaft shortened. I've got my measurements for front and rear so that I can get the carrier bearing in the correct spot. And then gonna look at getting the radiator for the front end so that I can get the cooling system worked out. I'm not going to be able to do anything with the AC, and I'm probably not going to screw with the AC until next year. But I am going to run all the heater hoses and everything. I was just going to loop it together, which I still may wind up doing because of space, because there's not a whole lot of room to get to the heater core on this thing. I still have to figure out how I'm going to do it. And I've got a few other loose ends that I got to tighten up in the engine compartment to get it to where I can run it. But I'm hoping to have this thing running in probably about 2 more weeks. The biggest hang up is going to be the shifter, but I don't have to have the shifter to start it. So, but I do want a radiator on it because I want to run coolant in it. I don't want to run it dry. I can, but I don't want to. So we'll see. I may still start it without all that, but I'm making progress, and really appreciate everybody continuing to stick with me through this build. I know it's taken a long time, but I said that up front. It could take me 2 to 3 years, and it looks like it's going to wind up taking me about 3 years to completely finish it. That'll be, I mean, I'll have it running this year, but I'll have to take it completely back apart to do all the finish work on it and get it painted and do all the undercoating and all that stuff. This is just to get it to where I know everything's functional. So I am going to drive it a little bit while I've got it functional before I do all the finish work. So it's going to look rough for a little bit, but I've been building it for 2 years. I want to go have some fun in it, and then I'll tear it apart and completely redo it. So appreciate y'all checking it out. I'll catch you in the next video. I'll probably have an update on my son's red Audi back there. I hate trying to point when I'm forward facing camera, but I'll probably have something done on that car, diagnosing the K lines, because I really think that's what the issue is with the car, because the left-hand turn signals don't work, and the only way that any of that communicates is through the K lines. So I'm going to break down an entire K line system, and in the next video on this one, I should have all the headlight wiring, horns, fuel lines hooked up, drive shaft, exhaust. I should have it figured out, and or at least temporarily figured out. And then yeah, we'll just see where we are in 2 weeks. So appreciate you checking it out. I'll catch you in the next video. Have a great one.